have a question for you. What are redraws most known for? Whenever I see someone redraw an old piece, it's almost always to see how they improved since they last drew the original art. So, shouldn't I have the same reason? Well, honestly, the idea to make this piece didn't start out with that idea, but to create a starting screen for my streams. I needed a piece of myself looking at you, and wouldn't having a blank background be boring? Besides, I need to practice drawing backgrounds if I want to improve and make it a part of a piece instead of studies. About the only real way I can get myself to endure that struggle. Plus, I didn't want to design a whole new room to put my shapeshifter into. It's just too much work. Then I remembered, hey, what about that piece you drew over a year ago, And I was like, ooh, what if I make a redraw instead, but with major changes, of course, to fit my new needs. And that's how we got here. I'll let you decide for yourself if this can be considered a redraw or not, because a lot of things did change after all. The original piece kind of came from nowhere. It was one of those days where it was just calm, and I wanted to doodle. You know, the just curl up in bed and sketch sort of days. Little did I know I would end up spending 30 hours on that sketch alone. Not that I did all that drawing in one sitting. No. No, that sketch was complete over a course of a month, if I remember correctly. I even worked on it during my birthday sleepover since everyone was chilling and hanging out. Honestly, I spent way too much time zooming in on the background, especially in areas that no one would ever look at. I remember getting so frustrated on a flower that got covered up by the leaves that one of my friends had to remind me that I was part of the background and just let it go as no one would even notice. It's not there. You can't even see it. It's just covered. All that pain and frustration for nothing. But funny enough, I actually have to draw everything even if you can't see it in my redraw. Why? Because I'm going to use Light 2D to animate it afterwards. If you want to see me work on it, you should join me on one of my streams sometimes. I do art and Light 2D streams right here on YouTube. Thankfully, while sketching, I didn't have to worry about the underneath stuff quite yet. I did sketch everything on its own layer so I could draw, say, the hair that's behind the body easier when I started inking. But it was still easy mode. I tried the classic way of starting off with a very rough thumbnail, and it came out quite easily, as is one of those few times where I knew exactly what I wanted. I'm sure other artists out there can relate to that feeling of finally being able to draw something just like what you see in your head and just wanting to hold on to that feeling. Then going through the struggle trying a million different poses on your next piece. And the next. And the next. Tweaking till it's still not perfect. But hey, good enough is good enough, and we had to move on at some point, right? Back to the sketching. I had a lot of fun. It's something I often say, but I'll say it again. Sketching is my favorite part of the process, and it always has been. It's a time where if you wanted, you can mess around with the expression in the hair and draw something that is not what you're going for, but just doing it for the hell of it. Then regretfully erasing the fun doodle and finally bring procrastination till it hits you once again. Also, if you're wondering how I'm getting all the straight lines, it wasn't me. Thank the magic of the perspective ruler. Oh boy, is it so helpful. But such pain to set up. As I mentioned earlier, I need to draw literally everything so it can be animated in Light 2D. The line art stage can get very hectic due to this. Not to mention the brain power this stage requires. I have to make sure I draw lines that normally wouldn't be seen, like the parts of the plant cover up or the inside of the mouth, despite my mouth being closed currently. Also, I have a beard, but nope, that's just the hair on the back of my head. Have you ever seen me with a beard? Be warned, that's not me. Run! Another shapeshifter took my place. Another thing that can get real hard to sort through real fast is all the layers. You need a layer for everything. And I mean everything. If you want it to move separately from something else, you better hope it's not on the same layer. I mean, look at all these. Look at all these layers. Organization is key here, that's for sure. At least it lets me indulge in folders inside of folders inside of folders inside of an endless supply of folders. Because I don't know why. That just makes me very, very happy. Outside of sketching, I think doing the base colors is my favorite part when I do art for Light 2D. I think it's being able to no longer see the extra lines, letting it feel more like a classic piece of art, being able to finally see it take shape. Plus, I get to turn something on in the background while I mindlessly apply colors to the page, or just listen to music like always, which, love of my life, I absolutely adore music. Unfortunately, I proceeded to take way too long of a break, seeing how long this piece was taking me to begin with. For reference, I started the first month of this year. It was May when I completed it. End of May. I'm not ashamed of the fact that it took me about 50 hours, but the fact that those 50 hours took place over such a long span of time. Not a great thing when you want to improve fast. However, I can't deny that the rendering process was very calming, especially painting the sky and any other parts that I didn't have to draw with Light 2D in mind. There's something so smoothing in putting down stroke after stroke, seeing the piece take shape. Ending up in a flow state for most of the process certainly helped. It was smooth sailing for the most part, then I came to the sad realization that I forgot to render the parts of my bangs that you don't see. And I already made the nighttime copy. So what would have been once and done ended up being a twice in pain. I mean, it wasn't too difficult, just a waste of time. But wouldn't I have to render a second copy of everything I was making a nighttime version to begin with? Well, honestly, no. Once I thought everything was fully rendered, I just made a copy of each layer and used Clip Studio's Change Layer color tool with a very dark blue, and set those layers to multiply. The only thing I created was the sky, although I did reuse the clouds and just adjusted their colors. The plan was to have a night and daytime from the get-go, but I ended up liking the version where they were combined the most, and I just kind of randomly stumbled upon that while turning off and on different layers. And that's probably due to the distribution of the range and the values, because everything just seems to pop more. But I may be wrong. I'm still art baby with lots to learn after all. And before you go, if you look closely at the books, you may find some Easter eggs. Until next time! Because I have nothing else to say. I don't know what to say, okay?